Welcome to Aussie Finance Chronicles, where money, history, and power collide right here, down under. This isn't your typical global finance channel. We're taking a deep dive into Australian financial history and personal finance, told entirely through the lessons of the Aussies who paved the way. We'll explore major local events, from the gold rushes to the creation of our superannuation system, to understand the powerful forces of capital, debt, and systemic control. Here, you'll learn how wealth is built and lost by studying the patterns of the past. They say history doesn't repeat, but it certainly rhymes. By understanding our continent's greatest triumphs, its failures, and its power plays, you can sharpen your financial sovereignty, master your money mindset, and avoid the very traps that took down local empires. Our mission is simple: to ensure every Aussie is equipped with the knowledge to thrive financially. As the great Volkan said, being Australian is a privilege. Being Australian is dominating a great continent. Being Australian is a great power. Let us look at a lesson that echoes from the fall of Byzantium to the struggles of modern Argentina. Debt in someone else's money is a death trap. When the storm hits, it isn't the creditor who drowns, it's the debtor. By now, the picture should be clear. Whether it's the revolutionary France, Civil War, America, or modern, I see the same themes repeat themselves. Paper money collapses, debt chains, nations and families alike, and those who survive are never the ones who place their absolute trust in the system, but the ones who recognize its fragility just before it cracks. The most chilling part of history is that collapse isn't just some ancient or distant story. It's happening right now. Look at Lebanon between 2019 and 2021. The banks did something that still feels unthinkable to most of us in the developed world. They locked the doors. Ordinary citizens woke up one morning to find their deposits frozen, withdrawals limited, and their currency collapsing around them. The Lebanese pound lost over 90% of its value. A lifetime of savings became little more than pocket change. People lined up outside banks, begging for access to their own money, only to be told it was gone. And this wasn't just about small savers. Middle-class families, retirees, doctors, and engineers, anyone who had trusted the system was wiped out. The lesson was brutal and it was clear. Your money in the bank is not a treasure chest. It is a loan you have made to an institution that can decide, in a time of crisis, not to pay you back. The people who survived the best were those who had diversified their assets abroad, held real assets like gold or property, or kept a portion of their cash completely outside the banking system. Everyone else was trapped. If this sounds far away, it shouldn't. Remember 2008. Americans watched their homes being repossessed and their pensions decimated, all while the very banks that caused the crisis were bailed out. In 2020, during the pandemic, trillions were printed to keep the economic machine alive. It was a lifeline that inflated asset prices for the wealthy while leaving ordinary wages stagnant. And just last year, in 2023, regional banks in the United States collapsed almost overnight when depositors lost confidence. It was a stark reminder that the safety of too big to fail is a comforting fairy tale we tell ourselves, right up until the day the door slams shut in our face. So how do you protect yourself when everything falls apart? History shows there is no single simply. Answer: in Byzantium, it was gold. After the Black Death, it was liquidity to buy up abandoned land. In Florence, it was learning not to trust the too big to fail bankers of the day. In the Confederacy, it was hard goods. In France, it was food and property. In Asia, it was avoiding debt denominated in someone else's currency. And in Lebanon, it was getting your money out of the banks before they closed their doors for good. The specific patterns change, but the underlying theme is constant. Survival comes not from blind trust in paper or institutions, but from recognizing what holds real, tangible value when all the illusions collapse. And here lies the paradox that should truly wake you up. Collapse is both a tragedy and an opportunity. For the unprepared, it is absolute ruin. But for those with resilience, liquidity, or assets that cannot be printed away, it is the moment to acquire wealth at a fraction of its former cost. Think about it. After the Black Death, peasants became landowners because there was suddenly too much land and not enough people to farm it. After the 2008 financial crises, those with cash on hand bought homes for pennies on the dollar while millions were foreclosed upon. History consistently shows us that protection is not just about defense. It is also about positioning yourself to seize the assets that others, under immense pressure, are forced to give up. But true wealth isn't only about what you own. It's also about what you can do. The ultimate survivors of history weren't just the people who had gold or property. They were the ones who could create value when others could not. The baker who could still provide bread, the craftsman who could repair essential tools, the farmer who could feed a community, the merchant who could move goods across borders. These were the people who didn't just survive collapses, they rose during them. In every crisis, money loses some of its meaning, but production never does. People will always need to eat, to build, to trade, and to live. And those who can meet those fundamental needs are never poor for long. That's the deeper layer of protection. Not blind faith in institutions, not the hope that governments or banks will come and save you, but the powerful combination of real assets, real skills, and the sharp awareness that illusions always eventually collapse. Every crisis is a transfer of wealth. It's a transfer from the many who trusted to the few who prepared. It's a transfer from paper promises to tangible value. And it's a transfer from passive savers to active builders. History has shown us this pattern time and time again. So the real question is not asterisk. If asterisk, everything will fall apart. History shows us it always does, in cycles. The question is, will you be one of the many left holding worthless promises? Or will you be one of the few holding something real? History doesn't repeat itself, but if you choose to ignore its lessons, it will crush you all the same. If this video gave you a new perspective, hit that subscribe button. History has the answers and I'll show you where to look. Thank you for joining me. Together, let's build a stronger, more prosperous Australia.